Okay, here we go. Welcome everyone to our Thursdays at Sun Tours presentation today for the Colorado Aspen Color. Ned O'Malia, your tour director for that tour, is with us, and he'll be talking about the locations that we'll be seeing. So we will get started here, and there you can see the maroon bells, which are one of the sites that you'll see. So we'll be talking about those. But first, I want to talk just for a few minutes about what Sun Tours is doing to make sure that you stay safe and healthy on this trip. We know that you're anxious. We don't blame you. Things are spooky out there, but we are doing everything that we can to work with all of our service providers, from the coaches to the hotels to the attractions, to make sure that all of you can stay safe on every tour that we take. And we will take no tour before it's time. When it's time to go, we'll be ready to go. But if there's any danger, we won't be taking you. So we are working with the U.S. Travel Association, and they are helping us create safety and health protocols for our trips and for our travelers, because you're part of the solution too, is to make sure that everybody stays safe. And we'll talk about that a few more minutes right now. So we're going to be having smaller groups. This tour to Colorado is going to be a smaller group than you may be used to seeing. We're not going to be doing those 40 and 45 people groups. This means that we can use social distancing. We can socially distance on the coach. We can socially distance in our groups when we're doing walking tours together. So that means that we're going to be able to keep you safer. We're going to be working with our destinations to make sure that their protocols are in place, that the hotels are staying clean and cleaning thoroughly. When you check into a hotel, you won't be standing in a clump in the lobby waiting for your room key. When you get on the coach, there will be hand sanitizer, and the coach will be cleaned regularly every night. So we're basically making sure that the tours that we've been presenting to you, those fun, excellent opportunities to see amazing things, are going to be safe too. So, as I said, there'll be hand sanitizer on the coach so that when you get back on from any stop, you will have hand sanitizer. We won't be rotating seats. You'll have a seat assigned for any time you're on the coach. Even though the coach will be cleaned every day, you will still only have your seat to be concerned about. We will be requiring you to wear a mask on the coach and every time you're with our group. And we will make sure that passengers that have any symptoms, that have been exposed in any way, are not traveling with us. The big thing that we know is that change is going to continue, just like it did after 9/11, just as it has so many times in the past. Travel's going to change, but we are here to make sure that we are translating all of those changes into methods and protocols that you can use and that you can feel safe and happy using, so that we can keep having fun together on these great trips with Sun Tours. So this is our trip to Colorado. We are on a coach. We drive up through Durango. We have Durango for lunch. We go into Montrose, where we have one night in a hotel, continue on into Aspen, beautiful country all the way. We have a stop in Leadville, then go through Gunnison and down through Pagosa Springs before we make it back to Albuquerque. And now I'm going to turn it over to our tour director, Ned O'Malia. Here is his picture, and you may see him on the screen if you have a camera. So Ned is our tour director for this tour, and he's very familiar with all of the Southwest, especially Colorado, and he's going to take it away. All yours, Ned.
Thank you, Leslie. So one of the great things about doing this into Colorado is you may think you're going to see fall foliage by going to July 4th Canyon in Manzanos, or you may go north and see the quaking aspens and such. But going into Colorado, you can have handfuls of fabulous leaves and colors that when you bring back to your neighbors, they will be just awestruck as to what you have seen and what you've done. So even on the very first day, which is very exciting, we do stop, and I like this place. This is the Apache Nugget Travel Center. That gets us out of Albuquerque. It's interesting. It's different. We are out of the city. I hope we're out of the city a little bit before this time, but it's a great stop. And then as we continue on, the scenery and hills and Colorado, there are the Rocky Mountain highs. But in the first day, we go over Molas Pass, which is at 11,000 feet. That's slightly higher than the Sandia Mountains. And you know what? There's a photo stop opportunity at the top. So we will take pictures. We stop in Silverton for a short time. Silverton is a really interesting town. According to the census, there's only 700 people live in Silverton, which seems impossible. They may live somewhere else. But Silverton was the site of a lot of Colorado history. It's named Silverton because there were a lot of silver mines nearby. We also stop at Ouray. Now you're going to say, oh, can't we swim in the hot springs? Well, that's the next trip. But these two cities are classic and warm and Western, and we'll be there in October. They're bright, they're interesting, even to walk around for a short time makes them an interesting stop. Plus, we keep going up and down over these magnificent hills in Colorado. I will tell you more about the John Denver visit after a while, but just the scenery you will see in the coach, the very safe, socially distanced coach on the first day is really, really quite extraordinary. Because if you're in a car and you're driving, you don't see as much. And if you're in a car, you're talking to someone, you don't see as much. Your job is just to look out the window and enjoy that first day's travel. And I assure you, we will. We're going to be in Montrose. That's where we spend our first night. It is, I think this is our second night. This is our, we stop in Montrose. I think that's great. Frank and Leslie have arranged to have a Western barbecue, beef and baked beans and potato salad and things like that on the first day. So you don't even have to, you get off the coach, you get in your room, you come back out, you have a great dinner, you can wander around Montrose. Now, the next day, we're going to be in Aspen, and this is the Aspen Square. This is day 2. We do go through, this is the famed and exciting Black Canyon of the Gunnison. They call it the Gunnison, but the town of Gunnison is nearby. We do not go down these steep hills, but we stop many times because a big part of what we are doing is being awed by the scenery of the state near us to our north. And they're happy to show us all that. We stop at a couple places on the second day. We stop at Stahl's Orchard and Farm Market. I love a farm market. I like to poke around. I like that they have apple samples. Sometimes it's the fall. They should have cider samples. But that's a great rest stop. Later on, we come to McClure Pass. And again, most of these passes, this is called the Painted Wall. This is an overlook we stop at. I mean, if you found this rock in a stream bed and held it in your hand, you would be impressed and excited. This wall is thousands of feet high, and it's photographable. It's beautiful, and I have traveled with the geologist, and I know about how those white streaks get in there. I don't know how they happen. I don't know their names, but I'm there to see how beautiful they are. But that's our second day with a lot of going up and down. Here's some more of the giant cliffs and mountains. It'll be October. There should be snow on the very highest peaks. Not every tree will be red. Here are aspens, quaking aspen yellow trees. But there's hardly a place that's as beautiful as Colorado, and especially in the fall. I mean, that's why we're going. It will be memorable. Here are more. Now this is a winter scene, and we'll be there in winter time. Now here in Albuquerque in October, it's not going to be as cold, but it would be a little bit colder in Colorado, and you can see the snow up there. But it's endless mountains of beauty and scenery. And thank goodness we're not using film cameras, because 36 exposures is never enough. But with your phone, okay, here we are. Here we are at the Aspen. This is the Aspen Square. Now, one of the very nice things about this, you can look this up on Google and internet. These are condominiums. So they not only have bedrooms and bathrooms and showers, they have a kitchen. So if you wanted to make coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning, I think you could make it. If you wanted a midnight stack, you could bring it back to the condominium, the Aspen, and it's called the Aspen Square Downtown. So it's not only movie stars who go to Aspen, it's not only mega millionaires. We're going to be there, and we can walk up and down the street and enjoy what people go to Aspen for. We might be a touch early for skiing, but Aspen itself is a phenomenal town. Now we will be settled there, so we have the whole day without worrying about packing up or anything like that. So I like that. We're in Aspen 2 nights, so we're at this excellent property. You can see the swimming pool. In this picture, the swimming pool is covered. You never know; it might be open. It could be warmer. But I do like when we're at a place with a kitchen. It just gives you extra stuff. It means you got a refrigerator. After dinner, you could buy things that you want in your room just to make it special for you. But it makes it very nice as a place to stay for 2 nights. I like that a lot.
And now we've got a word from our sponsor, Sun Tours. We're going to tell you about 2 other tours that are coming up. Lake Powell Adventure, of course, one of the most spectacular places in the Utah, Colorado, Arizona area. Just gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. Just a 3-day tour, October 26th through 29th. We'll have the Glen Canyon Dam tour. We'll get a raft ride around Lee's Ferry, and we will enjoy the Antelope Canyon Navajo Tribal Park. This is only 1,035 double occupancy per person, so it's a very affordable coach tour. And we have in the fall, White Sands and the Inn of the Mountain Gods. If you haven't enjoyed the Inn of the Mountain Gods, it's really a spectacular hotel, lots of fun to visit. And of course, we'll also see the White Sands National Monument, plus the Hubbard Museum of the American West. And we'll stop at the Heart of the Desert Pistachio Farm for Pistachio and Wines Tour. And it's just $385 double occupancy per person. So a real opportunity to just get a little bit out of town. So think about those as you're planning your fall travel too. Okay, here we go, Ned, still in Aspen.
This is called the Maroon Bells. It is titled Bells because of the 2 tall peaks, both of which are over 14,000 feet. Colorado has, I believe, 55 mountains over 14,000 feet, and New Mexico, I'm afraid, has one at 13,800. But these two mountains are look like bells when you're interested. When the sun's correct, there is a maroon color to the stone, to the heavy granite stone in that mountain. I don't know if this is the most photographed area in Colorado, But I keep seeing, if you look for Colorado scenic views or vistas or vacation, you'll come up with this spot. And I think they chose it because here's the lake, here's the reflection. But we will be there. I mean, we will be there in the morning. We do a little bit excursion on the coach, and then we have time to wander around. I see flat rocks on the right-hand side. I will challenge you to a skip the flat rock contest. Actually, we leave the maroon bells. And here's another view. This is when they don't look maroon at all, and the lake looks much bigger, and there's a lot more snow on it. But this is one of the places, and it's very close to Aspen. It's not that far away. We don't have a long way to go before we're here. We will stay here a very long time unless we have a blizzard and we can't see anything, or unless there's the heaviest rainstorm that ever happened. But just for viewing, and it is spectacular. Just noticed at the bottom right, there's a man or a woman, and they are fishing, I believe, or at least falling over with excitement at how beautiful this whole Maroon Bells is. It's a sight you'll remember for a long time. We then go to the John Denver Memorial Garden. John Denver, of course, from Denver, but unfortunately he died in an experimental airplane crash. But that was in California. He was really on the shore of the ocean of California. But because he was such a mountain rocky high kind of person, shortly after he died, the mayor of Aspen said, "I want to do something." And they came up with the idea, the city, the mayor, some private funding. They made a 5-acre park, and it's got paths in it, and it's got more. It has some stones that have the lyrics from famous John Denver, like here's one, Rocky Mountain High. This would have all the lyrics of that song, but you can see, you can walk a bit, you can sit and contemplate. They put it in a beautiful spot. So whatever happens, whether you're sitting and reflecting on the mountains, whether you're walking up this trail, whether you're trying to sing like John, and we'll let you sing like John. I'll bring you the microphone. I will sanitize it before I give it to you. And you can sing these lyrics if you would like. So between the Maroon Bells and the John Denver Memorial right outside of Aspen, we have a very full kind of morning. Then we come back into Aspen where, this is what, I like this guy. This is in the Memorial Park too. And at first when I looked at it, I thought it's the largest cow I ever saw, but no, it's a bison. And it's interesting in how it's put together. At first I thought it was put together with, and it might be, with old car bumpers. But after we spend a delightful time here, we go back into Aspen, where really, and everywhere you drive, I mean, look at this. The best of Colorado is not you flying into the Stapleton Airport, where you look out and you see mountains all around you. I always think that those mountains, they must have snow on all year long. But this is near Aspen, and this is part of our drive. I mean, in between points, we will have these kinds of scenes. And I assure you, all time permitting, we will make as many photo stops as we possibly can, because it's just such a beautiful place. But we come back into Aspen and we give you a free afternoon. And when I say it's a free afternoon, it's your trip. It's your free afternoon. That would give you a chance to wander around a bit, find one of those Hollywood movie stars, little cafes where you have an Aspen lunch. Here's the road coming into Aspen with it has to wind, because you can't just drive. It's like going to the Sandias. You just can't drive up the top of the hill. You have to switch back and make big curves. But there's an afternoon. There will be an afternoon of just being in town. And by the time you come back to, well, here's the Aspen block. It's not an especially big town. You can see that's the sign on the right-hand side says walk only. It's very pedestrian friendly. It's got those old-fashioned street lamps. It's got hanging flowers. There's a lot of bicycles. There's a lot of brick pedestrian walkways. Do they have gift shops there? Yes, they do. Bring your wallet, bring your credit cards. You will find wonderful things in this town. And then by the time day 4, we're pulling out of town. That's okay. We are doing a whole number of things. We are going near Leadville. This is the Matchless Mine. This became one. This is not the whole mine. Looks like Madrid, but it's Madrid was not so much different than this silver mine. This was one of the richest mines in Colorado. And I said yesterday to some people, you know, we think of big robberies and train robberies and bank robberies in Texas. Well, Texas didn't have any money. Colorado had money. So, and it came from these mines. So here's Baby Doe Tabor. She became one of the wealthiest women in the West. She hung on to her husband's mining stake, which was the Matchless Mine. I like the cabin. I'm doubting that is Baby Doe Tabor, but we were looking at the firewood on the side of the cabin. It gets cold up there with that kind of cabin. We do pass the Matchless Mine. There's not, you know, we can't go in it, we can't go down it, but we can look at it and see it, be aware of it. We can think about Baby Doe, and then we continue on further into both Leadville. This is the Healy House Museum and Mansion. So Mr. Healy, a man of vision, a man who came here, became quite wealthy. I'll add a couple more quites, built this fabulous mansion. And the city was smart enough, not every city does, but they saved it and they've made it a museum. And it is filled with the artifacts which are from the 1870s, 1880s. It's an enjoyable place. There are docents. Here's a few of the things they have inside the Healy House. I remember looking at this picture recently and thinking, how do you get on that bicycle? But that's, you know, that's another question, another tour. But it's a wonderful old recreated house, preserving a great deal of the history of Colorado, of the people who made the money, who dug the mines, who took the money out, who spent the money, who lived really well. And behind that property, well, here's the Dexter cabin. Now there was a Dexter, and this cabin, well, you can see the gazebo. So the Healy mansion is very close to the front of this cabin. This cabin was way high in the foothills. It was only brought down to preserve it because Dexter was part of the Matchless Mines. He liked a very simple life. He wanted to be left alone. And he lived most of his life here, although he was a very wealthy man. And so kind of to honor his tradition, they brought the cabin down. And we can go in the cabin. You may look at the cabin. You may look at the Healy house. You may decide you'd rather live in the Healy house. Maybe we would like to live in the Healy house. But then to salute what made the money in this part of the world, we go to the National Mining Hall of Fame. It's here. It is, well, it was a former large building with other purposes, but since mining had become such a major industry in this world, it needed a museum. And so as we go through it, and we do walk through it, here's some of I don't think that's real silver. They might not let us that close to it. But there's pictures of how the minings happen. The picture on the right shows a man with a very heavy bucket that had to be lifted out of the mine. But everything from these scales, which were very important, to the early tools. There's also a museum. Now it's a museum It looks like rocks, but these are minerals. And then there's different types of rock holding silver. There's different types of rock holding gold. This museum, is it as good as the Socorro Tech Museum of Mineralogy? They're both exquisite. So in the mining museum, we will see this and be able to ask questions and look at things. Unfortunately, we cannot take any of these rocks home. Then in the museum itself, they have dioramas. Now, this is a drill. I mean, I keep looking for the electric wires or the pneumatic hoses. I don't think so. I think it actually turned by hand, but it shows how the mining would have happened in that era. I look at all the big wooden braces. I come from Anthracite Coal Company, so in Pennsylvania, so I'm aware of some of the underground stuff, but I'm sure it was just as dangerous here. But then when we finish here, we are back. We are back at we're in Gunnison, for the Gunnison Hotel, Holiday Inn Express. I like Holiday Inn Expresses. They're easy, they're efficient. They have a high roof. You can see where you pull under the high roof. I was a very long time ago. I was just a young tour director with my hair was blacker, but I was on a bus, and when we went under one of these things, it scraped, and I've always remembered that. So when I see them, they look extraordinary high, but that's for the bus. So we spent a really comfortable, wonderful night there. We are in town. There are several good restaurants. We have a scattered dinner that night, but there's several really good restaurants nearby that I will point out and talk about and get some ideas about where you'd like to go for dinner, and get ready for a return after Gunnison, a long, wonderful day. We get to Pagosa Springs. We stopped at Pagosa Springs. This is, again, another one of those wonderful little western towns that happen in northern Colorado. Walking up and down the street is pretty exciting. There's a lot of stores and interesting things. I'm losing my pages. I got it. Okay. We have a couple of really, really interesting stops. We stop at the Cristobal Reserve Overlook, which, if the Maroon Bells was exciting, so is the Reservoir Overlook. As we continue south, we come to that great sign, welcome to New Mexico, the land of enchantment. And the background in this slide looks like New Mexico. It doesn't look like the snowy mountains of Colorado. But by this time, your camera will be full, your phone will be full, your heart will be full. You'll be thinking, where could I possibly get John Denver vinyl records? Well, they don't make them anymore, but you can get them on you could get them on almost any other medium. You could play that song all day. So we're at, for lunch, we're at the Pagosa Brewing Company, which is rustic and interesting. It continues to add to our, Colorado is not the wild frontier, but it was the wild frontier, and they celebrate that sense of cowboyness. But at the same time, they didn't have that many cows. So here's what's included in the tour.
Thank you, Ned. Thanks so much. So we have, of course, our transportation with social distancing by deluxe motor coach, our 4 nights of lodging at the 4 hotels that we described, the Montrose Hotel, the Aspen condominiums, and the hotel in, I've lost it now. As we come back south, 3 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 1 dinner, your admission to all your attractions, and your, of course, professional Sun Tours tour director, Mr. O'Malia. So This is 1,095 double occupancy per person, and we still have a few slots on this tour, and you've got a month before you have to make your final payment. So you've got plenty of time to make a decision about traveling with us. We sure hope you will. Please call us if you have any questions or concerns. We are here to answer any of them. If there's any questions now, you can type it in the chat window, or raise your hand if you have a camera, and I will call on you. But we thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our Sun Tours presentation. Next week, we will be sharing about our Lake Powell adventure. So I hope that you will join us next Thursday at 2 p.m. for information about our Lake Powell tour that's coming up also in October.
Great.
Thank you very much for coming. Thanks, Ned.
A pleasure. Are there any chat questions?
Any chat questions? I don't see any, Ned. I don't see any.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You know how to find us, 889-8888. We'd love to have you come on board. Take good care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.